ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, continuing our reading. The Pandavas retired timely. Chapter 15, text 21. Tadvai dhanusta ishavah saratho hayaste soaham rathi nripatayo yata anamanti sarvam kshanena tat abhut asat ishariktam bhasmam bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptamushyam. Please repeat. Tadvaidanusta ishavah sarato hayaste Tatvaidanusta ishavah sarato hayaste Soham rati nripatayo yata anamanti Aham rati nripatayo yata anamanti Sarvam kshanena tadabhut asad ishariktam Sarvam kshanena tadabhut asad ishariktam Bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptamushyam Bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptamushyam Tadvai dhanusta ishavah saratho hayaste Aham rati nripatayo yata anamanti Sarvam kshanena tadabhuda sat ishariktam Bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptam ushyam is it? Tat, the same. Vai, certainly. Dhanuhate, the same bow. Ishavaha, arrows. Saha, the very same. Rataha, chariot. Hayahate, the very same horses. Saha aham, I am the same Arjuna. Rathi, the chariot fighter. Nripatayaha, all the kings. Yataha, whom Anamanti, offered their respects. Sarvam, all. Kshanena, at a moment's notice. Tat, all those. Abhut, became. Asat, useless. Isha, because of the Lord. Riktam, being void. Bhasman, ashes. Hutam, offering butter. Kuhakaradham, money created by magical feats. Eva, like that. Uptam, sown. Ushyam, in barren land. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation: I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna, to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them at a moment's notice have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land. Purport: as we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. All energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they act as long as He desires and cease to function as soon as He withdraws. All electrical energies are received from the powerhouse, and as soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs are of no use. In a moment's time, such energies can be generated or withdrawn by the supreme will of the Lord. Material civilization without the blessing of the Lord is child's play only. As long as the parents allow the child to play, it is all right. As soon as the parents withdraw, the child has to stop. Human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessing of the Lord. And without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration of a dead body. It is said here that a dead civilization and its activities is something like clarified butter on ashes, the accumulation of money by a magic wand, and the sowing of seeds in a barren land. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki. We're reading the chapter Pandavas Retire Timely, and for those of you who are here new, we recollected how Pandavas are retiring means retiring from active material life, which means focuses only on achieving Krishna. That's what is the meaning of saying retiring. I know we have other connotations to retirement in the outside world, but here retiring means the Pandavas are actually preparing to completely focus on Krishna. And you can see the way Arjuna thinks is a clear indication that he's moving towards that. And here Arjuna has come back from Dwarka and he's recollecting, because Krishna has passed away, he's recollecting his association with Krishna. And this is one of those amazing verses wherein he is very clearly indicating what is the meaning of his greatness, what is the foundation of his greatness, which he knows and the world knows. And what is that? Is Krishna. He's saying here that that great wielder of the Gandiva bow that I am, I know that there's no use of the bow, there's no use of my great Kshatriya spirit, no use of any of these things, because Krishna is no more with me. This is a very important point. In the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, there's a shloka that says, Krishna is saying, whatever you see in this world and think and identify it to be real is not real without me. If you see it without me, Rate artam pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. If you see it without me, it's not real. In other words, it actually doesn't exist. Actually doesn't exist. And that same Bhagavatam essence is brought out here by Arjuna's personal experience. He is not still boasting around and swinging his Gandiva bow and saying, "Here, come, I'll take you." He knows the Gandiva bow slipped out from his hand in the beginning of the Mahabharata war. At that time also he did say, "I'm sweating, my hands, the Gandiva bow is slipping away from my hands, watching this battlefield and watching all my relatives in front of me. I become weakened." That time also he became Krishna unconscious, although Krishna was standing next to him. And Krishna chastised him and brought him back to shape. Of course, it's a Leela. Brought him back just to illustrate, demonstrate to us how often we can remain disconnected. Or rather, we can always remain disconnected, and sometimes we can remain connected. Material life means disconnected and sometimes eking out a connection. It's an effort. But Arjuna, he demonstrated by Krishna's will in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita that he was out of touch. And then Krishna brought him back into orientation. And we can just imagine what this means to us. Ayukta and Yukta, explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Ayukta kama karena. Then Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya. Yukta, again and again he speaks about it, Krishna, remaining connected. Remaining connected. And even says an intelligence that is not connected with me. He speaks about that also. And he says, Ashantasya kutasukam. If you don't have an intelligence is connected with me, then Ashanti will prevail. Means there's no peace. And if there's no peace, how you can be happy? Ashantasya kutasukam. So you can see Arjuna is showing signs of despondence. Why? Because he knows he is not able to, is temporarily lost his connection with Krishna because of the shock of understanding that he has left me. He's left me. But this does not mean that Arjuna is not eternally, spiritually connected with Arjuna. It just means that he is temporarily disconnected. He may have to elevate himself to a higher level of meditation to connect with Krishna. Because he was all the time very closely physically associated with Krishna. Very closely physically associated. Mahabharata describes how he was putting hand on top of the shoulders, both of them, one on top of the other, and walking around. It also describes how Arjuna's lap was lent as a pillow and Krishna would lie down, rest. In the Bhagavad Gita, after hearing Krishna, after seeing his Vishwarupa, Arjuna laments, I did not know that this is your position. No, he happened to ask all the questions about life, the $1 million questions, to that person himself. All the $1 million questions he asked to Krishna. And Krishna said, since you're asking me a question, and you're my good friend, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, Rahasyam Hi Etad Uttamam, I reveal it to you. I don't normally reveal this to anybody. Pravakshayami Anasuyave, you're not envious of me, I know. Therefore, I'm revealing this to you. And after seeing that, Arjuna got shocked and said, I did not know that that is your position. Many times I called you, hey Yadava, come here. Many times I ate from the same plate as yours. I assumed so many rights and privileges as a good friend would have. Then all of a sudden it switched in his mind. He became filled with awe and reverence. That is, of course, analyzed again in a different way. He stepped out of his Sakya Rasa and became involved in understanding God and all that. So Arjuna has that complete experience. He knows that his Gandiva bow is powerful because of the energy inspired in it by Krishna. At the end of the war, Krishna asks Arjuna not to just get out of the chariot casually. He tells him to jump out of the chariot. He tells him, throw your Gandiva and your bows. Jump out. And Arjuna said, why? I've always been getting down and getting up. He said, no, I just want to tell you, jump out. So he jumped out. And then he said, okay, you have taken everything that you need from the chariot. He said, of course. Why are you talking to me in this strange way? And then Krishna also jumped out of the chariot. Jumped out means jumping out actually. And as soon as Krishna's feet left the chariot, the whole chariot became ashes. And Arjuna was very amazed to see that. He said, how did that happen? And Krishna told him that it was long back destroyed. It was destroyed long back. You think those arrows of all those Maharathis shooting at you were anything less? They were powerful arrows. They are coming all from Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya and all of them. Ashwatthama. They were very powerful arrows. So what to speak of the chariot? Arjuna should be dead and gone long back. And then Krishna revealed to him, I simply absorbed all of them and protected your chariot and you. And then Arjuna came to know that what's the use of the Gandiva anyway? I can just about shoot some arrows because Krishna is next to me. But I have been completely protected by Krishna. And on his order, things are happening. See? Similarly, there's a story that we have recollected here before of how Krishna engineered Arjuna's success. And all these instances, Arjuna knows, due to which reason he's saying, but Gandiva really functioned because Krishna was next to me. Right? That famous instance when Duryodhana is getting on the case of Bhishma, and he's telling Bhishma repeatedly, you have to fight your full capacity. You have to, do the best. Don't get cold feet. Don't be sentimental about your affection with the Pandavas. He kept saying that. And when a demon like Duryodhana gets at it, he really rubs it in. So he really rubbed it into Bhishma. So much so that Bhishma said, well, you are actually accusing me of not being proper Kshatriya, not doing my Kshatriya duty properly, which I am not. I am doing my best. I am doing my best. It is just that the Pandavas are protected by Krishna. I want you to know that. There is no chance you have. Anybody doesn't have a chance. Jayastu Panduputranam Tasham Pakshe Janardana. In his side, and the side is Janardana, therefore there is no victory for you. I just want you to know that. And whatever you may try, I can try the best. And then why don't you do the best? In this way they had a little argument. And in that argument, Bhishma got vexed and frustrated and disgusted with Duryodhana. And he said, okay, I give out my best. And he took out shining arrows, very powerful arrows, breathed into them all the mantras and said, this is for Arjuna, this is for Bhima. And he chanted those mantras and said, if this flies out of my arrow, it will hit the target. It flies out of my bow, it will hit the target and they will die. For sure, Bhishma will die, Bhima will die, Arjuna will die, Nakula Sahadev, all of them, all the Pandavas will die. But I know there is many things that can happen in between. And in this way he kept these separate arrows in front of Duryodhana to satisfy him. And Duryodhana was super happy. He said, I got you to do it. Now, all I have to see is that it speeds out of your bow. And he said, since you're so suspicious about what would possibly happen in between this arrow and it's speeding out of your bow, why don't we do one thing? Why don't I keep these arrows for tonight? He wanted to be super secure about those arrows. So Bhishma got even more frustrated and said, I said, take it. He bundled up the arrows. He put it on his shoulders and he was whistling and going back into his tent. I got him. I completely got everything out of him. And I'm even having the arrows with me. Then he put it on his, right under his pillow. He said, I keep a pillow on top of it and sleep tonight. Let's see who will touch it. Who will do anything to it? Forget Krishna, forget anybody. I am supreme. You try to go to sleep, but amazingly on the other side, because Bhishma had become so aggressive in the war, and Arjuna, my grandfather shooting at me. In fact, he was in a situation where he could not be the full Kshatriya that he ought to be, because Bhishma standing in front. This was his weakness. And therefore, Krishna noticed that this guy is not going to do it. He's too soft, he's too good, he's a nice devotee. So, there are all sorts of adjustments that Krishna could do. So, they were all discussing what to do, Bhishma has become so aggressive. Today, he wiped out so many of our army, and his attacks are deadly. And after all, Bhishma, he defeated Parashurama. And what are we going to do against him? It's very difficult to do it. But Bhishma is such an amazing personality, and Yudhishthira and all of the Pandavas are given such amazing intelligence by Krishna. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Is that even in the beginning of the war, it was Yudhishthira, according to proper etiquette, guru-disciple etiquette, he sent an arrow even before the war was declared that went right into the feet of Dronacharya, Bhishma and everybody. And they didn't do anything about it because they knew this is Yudhishthira paying respects, asking for blessings. And he came up there and sought blessings, asking them, give me blessing that I be victorious. And they were forced to give the blessings. Bhishma, Drona and everybody, they were forced to give blessings because he's asking for blessings. And it is proper. And he's our junior. And he's my student. And if he asks me whichever side I belong to, I am bound to give my blessings. So they blessed him, you will be victorious. And Duryodhana didn't like it. What are you saying? How dare you say that, standing on my side of it? You blessing him that he will be victorious? Then they smiled and said that he is intelligent. He is seeking blessings. Actually, Duryodhana never sought such blessings from them. In the force of his whole scheming, planning, maneuvering, manipulating, he never thought that he could ask blessings from those people standing next to him. This way he was bewildered by Krishna. But they sought blessings and they have already blessed. In fact, later Yudhishthira went right up to Bhishma and asked him, you're fighting so aggressively. You promised that you would give us victory. You blessed me. How is it possible to defeat you? In fact, they asked him, how is it possible to kill you? So open was the conversation. So open was the discussion. They're such broad-minded individuals. And Bhishma smiled and said, my dear son, it's not yet time for me to reveal to you that. At a right time, I'll reveal it to you. So in this way, later of course again Yudhishthira came and said how to do it, how to kill you. You are invincible, we know that. How to kill you? Then Bhishma says there's one way of doing it. And that is keep Shikhandi in front and shoot. I'll never raise arms against Shikhandi because Shikhandi is not a man, he's a woman. And a Kshatriya will not raise arms against. This way he gave the real Achilles heel, where you can get me. This he revealed. And they went and did that in the end. But before that this happened. Bhishma still told Arjuna that it doesn't work like that. These material things that we do, these manipulations we do, these plans, organization, everything we do, everything can go kaput if Krishna desires to press that button. And Krishna is always smiling and doing all these things. Why? Because he is situated as a super soul in everybody's heart, including Duryodhana's. And he knows the whole working. He knows what everybody is thinking simultaneously. Can you beat that? You know, he's got the best spy network, as I would say. Implants everywhere, inside everybody's heart. Speak about hiring a detective agency. That's all external. Right inside is Krishna. Inside the enemy's heart. And if you are connected with Krishna, you are connected with the network. Isn't it? So Bhishma knew it's better to be part of that network than all these manipulations outside. He knew it for sure. He knew the truth. But the stupid Duryodhana did not know. So he said, you go through your lessons. And what happened on the other side of the camp? Krishna knew something that even Arjuna did not know. They were all despondent. Now how to, get at Bhishma? Because he already told us it's not yet time to get me. And he's so aggressive, what will we do? Then Krishna said, don't worry, do you remember that you have a boon from Duryodhana? And Arjuna laughed and said, boon from Duryodhana? What are you saying? And he said, yes, you have. You have forgotten. And Krishna wasn't even there then. He told him to remember how there was a fight between the Gandharvas and Duryodhana and his party. Duryodhana came with his whole army to tease And they all went off to the forest by Duryodhana's manipulations and machinations. And Duryodhana was not really very happy because he was not able to see them suffer in front of him. Para dukkha sukhi. That's what he is. Para dukkha dukhi is a Vaishnava. Para dukkha sukhi are demons, envious people. So he wanted to watch them suffer. And that's no more possible because he sent them all to the forest and he's ruling the kingdom. He's the emperor. But what's the big deal? He got to see them to get some little thrill. So he made some excuse and got Dhritarashtra's permission and said, we're taking a cattle up there and all that. And he made it with Shakuni's assistance. Shakuni knew his heart. He said, I know exactly what you want. You want the happiness of watching them suffer. So they all went to the forest. They camped on the opposite side of where the Pandavas were following their austerity, doing their homa, yajna in bark clothes and, matted hair, and Draupadi and all of them together. And there was a big lake and they got themselves separated on the other side. They're having a ball, a party. On this side they're having a party with Duryodhana, and on the other side was all this homa, yajna going on. And it so happened that some Gandharvas emerged from the waters and they were having their games and fun in the lake. And it was announced that Duryodhana is going to come into the lake, get out of the lake, because he's the emperor. So those Gandharvas didn't bother about who is Duryodhana. They didn't bother, they kept going and having fun. Then they came out again and said, better you get out or you're going to be in trouble, because Duryodhana is emperor. And they didn't bother again. And then Duryodhana got very angry and sent his army to get them out. And the army came, and from the waters rose a whole lot of Gandharvas and fought them out like nothing. Watching this fight were Arjuna and Bhima on the other side, because elder brother was busy doing the homa yajna with Dhaumya and all of them. So they were busy. It's nice. War fighting is very interesting. So they were looking at it and they were saying, this fool is going to get it. And they were enjoying that he is fighting and Duryodhana is actually not very tactical. And they were discussing Kshatriya, tactics and some strategy, and say this guy is wrong this way, that way. And they were appreciating on this side. But Yudhishthira, he saw and he said, go and help. He told Bhima, go and help. And Bhima said, what's wrong with you? Go and help? For what? Whom do we help? Gandharvas? Or do we help these guys? He said, no, we help the Pandavas. They are your brothers. Then he said, you must be kidding. You must be joking to me. They sent you out. They stripped your wife through and did all these things, and you come in and go and help them. He said, no, we must. That is dharma. It's our relative. And these are, some other people. So you must go. When you see and watch, a Kshatriya should go and help. Then they both are, this guy is too much. My brother, he's too much. And they discuss among themselves. They found it very difficult. And then they decided, said, no, but he's saying so, we have to do it. It's a side of dharma, he will say all these things. And they were murmuring and all those things, and they went up with their bow and arrow and their gada and everything. They went up reluctantly to help. And as soon as they started helping, the Gandharva's leader came and said, you don't have to do that. We've already got him. We actually came here to protect you, because this rascal is going to do something to you. So we have no fight with him. But he kicked up a fight with us. And we have already got him. By the time they actually overcame him and they got him bound. Got Duryodhana bound. Duryodhana was completely surprised. What's happening? He was bound and he was brought to Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira advised him, my dear brother, you shouldn't do these type of things. You should be like this, etc., etc. All dharmically he spoke like elder brother. But Bhima said, why are you wasting time talking all these things to this fellow? And he took out his sword and said, give me one yes and a lop off his head. Let's go and occupy the throne. We don't have to worry about anything else. Now is the time to do it. Say yes to me. And Arjuna also was wondering, say yes and we'll do it. And let's go back. But what Yudhishthira said was, no, that's also not correct for us to do that. He's unarmed. He's not protected. And we are protecting him. And right now he is overcome by somebody else. It's our duty to give him shelter, not lop off his head. Cut him free. With that same sword, he asked Bhima to cut him free. So it was very austere for Bhima and Arjuna to do these things. But they cut him free. And they just knocked him with their hands and this thing and said, get lost. No, Kshatriyas have got their own ways of dealing things. At that time, Duryodhana turned around and said, thank you very much for saving me. Anything you want to ask of me, he told Arjuna. And Arjuna, I didn't even remember it. He said, get lost. Just get lost. And that Krishna remembered. Nobody remembers that. So it needs Krishna to remember that. He said, don't you remember? He gave you a boon. And you said, that's okay, not now. And you sent him away. So it's a Kshatriya's word. Go and ask him for the boon now. Because Krishna already knows the arrows are with Duryodhana. So he said, whatever you say, Krishna, but I don't know how this is going to work because I don't know whether it's the right thing to go to his camp and ask him for it. He said, just listen to me. He has got arrows under his pillow. Just take it. Nobody knows this. Neither does Arjuna know what he's doing, but he's just doing it on the instruction of Krishna. Nor does Duryodhana can ever dream of the fact that Krishna would know about it. But there they came, both of them. They rode on a horse and came in the night. And just when Duryodhana was whistling and getting to bed, they walked into his tent. And as soon as he saw Arjuna, Duryodhana was very thrilled. It must be because the fight has become aggressive. Bhishma is really killing. So he asked immediately, so Partha, come for a truce? Have you come for a truce? But he did not see that behind him was Krishna also emerging from the doorway. Then as soon as he saw Krishna, he became a little serious. Must be something up if he's come with him. Right? Krishna is always something to be worried about for everybody. Either in the form of Maya or in the form of Krishna himself. So Krishna, he appeared and then he greeted Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was wondering, he became very serious. What's up now? So he told Arjuna, go ahead, ask him. So Arjuna asked, you remember you gave me a boon? And Duryodhana's face became smaller and smaller. So what? He said, I've come to ask you something from the boon. Now? He said, yes. What's it that you want? He said, give me those arrows that Bhishma gave you. And Krishna was just smiling at Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was so fried out, highly frustrated. It must be you. He said, it must be because of you. It must be because of you. But he can't do anything but give those arrows. He's completely confronted and put in a very awkward situation. That if you're really a Kshatriya, keep up your word, give those arrows. And he had to part with those arrows. And you can imagine how Duryodhana was feeling. Completely dejected. And Arjuna was just then understanding what's happening. And how Krishna has saved him. And as he went back, Krishna related to him everything. This is what has happened. These are the fatal arrows that you guys are supposed to die with tomorrow. That's why Arjuna is saying now, my Gandiva bow, what's the use of it? I should have been dead and gone, if not for Krishna. So, normally speaking, Arjuna wouldn't have known, needn't have known. Duryodhana does not know. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. So we are chanting Hare Krishna, we depend on Krishna. Many times we get confused about how things are happening, whether we have the attention of Krishna, whether things are actually going as per Krishna's plan or somebody else's plan. And the reversals that we have sometimes puts us into thinking a lot of things. But Arjuna's recollection guarantees to us that we may not know many things. And how can we know all different things that Krishna is doing to protect you? Does he have to report to you? So many things Krishna is doing all the time for my sake, and I don't know about it. Just like a child doesn't know about everything that the mother is doing for him. All the child does is kick its legs up, pass stool, urine, ask for milk, cry, that's all. But everything that the mom does the child know? That the mom is planning to give you milk like this, cook up food for you like this, keep you comfy like this, do that for you, do this for you, get your vaccination done, get this done. None of those things I know about as a child. I don't care. I simply don't care. It's your business. I don't have anything to do with it. Similarly, a devotee, he rests happily because he knows Krishna will take care. And even if he doesn't think so, Krishna is doing it. Krishna is doing it. It's simply our faith. Because of our material consciousness, we don't believe that Krishna is doing it. So Arjuna is recollecting and saying, yes, it is Krishna who did everything right from the beginning to the end. I actually did nothing. I'm just a fool holding the Gandiva and standing and shooting a few arrows. But foundationally, who is actually moving it? It's Krishna who is moving it. It's a powerful lesson we can learn from here. That we get worried about many things, but still we should. That purifies us. It's not that we should think that this illustrates clearly I can whistle and bye, swing my hands and chant Hare Krishna and bask in the sun. Do nothing. Then you will get kicked in the butt by Maya. You need to always think how to engage myself in Krishna consciousness, actively using my mind, intelligence, body, words, manasa, vacha, diya, karmana. That's your business. And depend on Krishna. It's not that since you are doing, you should become overly dependent on your own capability and your effort. No, you would do. Yati ichhasi tata kuru. Krishna is asking Arjuna to do. But the result, you don't worry about. Because I have my own plans. And Arjuna, he similarly, nimitta matram bhavasavya sachan. He performed as an instrument. It's a great philosophy to be an instrument in Krishna's hands. And think like that and act like that. Being an instrument is not inactivity. Being an instrument is being very active. More active than you normally are. You see. And being an instrument means you know I am an instrument. Nimitta matram. That means something. You're not the doer, but still I'm doing. Whom for? Krishna. Krishna is doing through me. You see. This is the understanding of a devotee. And Arjuna is rich in that experience. A practical experience. It happened to him that way. Why? The previous shloka says that I was attacked by cowherd men and I couldn't protect myself and protect them. Protect all the queens that I brought from Dwaraka. The cowherd men attacked me and took them all away. Took them all away. I could not do it. So, how does this apply to us? Many things in our life, we may say that, oh, this is a nice leela to hear Krishna Katha. Arjuna has got all these amazing experiences with Krishna because he was with Krishna. What about me? What about me? Who am I? Of course you are with Krishna. Krishna is in your heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshu Arjuna tishtati. The difference between Arjuna and Krishna is consciousness. Arjuna is in great Krishna consciousness. And we are distanced from Krishna by simply having a material consciousness that is struggling. So simply, that is what that separates us from Krishna. As long as we think that our body, our efforts, my opinion, and the things that I do and my talent are important, even in serving Krishna, if you think they are important, and that's how things are happening, if you think, you're in for a surprise. Just like the talented Arjuna, is a very talented person. One of the best you can ever see as human beings. And he is attributing everything to Krishna. And what about us? What talent do we have? Apart from the talent to have sense gratification, which everybody has, what other talent do we have? That's why using everything in the service of Krishna is another catch. Sometimes people have an inclination to do certain things. I think they have a talent to do certain things. It's easy to engage your talent in Krishna's service because really speaking, there's not much spiritual effort from your side. It just sinks in. And then everybody thinks that you're so wonderfully engaged. But you may not be engaged. You may be doing but not engaged. You may not be, because that comes easy for you. That comes easy for you. Everybody trains. All talented people are trained. When you see somebody playing a guitar and have hands flying on the frets between the strings, you know he has done hours and hours and hours and tons of practice that he doesn't have to look. He's just closing his eyes and strumming and his fingers are flying on the fret. Or somebody playing football, you know that each one of those valuable kicks can score a goal because so much of practice has gone beyond it. They can do it unmindfully. They can play in the night sleeping. They can play the instrument. It's really not that they have to be awake to play it. Exercise their talent. So if you're talented, it's really not that you have to be very Krishna conscious in order to perform with that talent. But if you're not, and you're asked to do something which you're not good at, that's when you can be very Krishna conscious. Because you're forced to be. I don't know how to do it. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was like that. His talent was something else. He was a pharmaceutical man. He was doing many other things. He was asked to market Krishna consciousness not in India, in the Western world. Go and market the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Bhagavad Dharma all over the world. And he was struggling with that for so many years. How to do it? How to do it? And he decided that the way to do it is to be completely humble and surrendered. He brought this out very nicely when he was discussing this with that O.B.L. Kapoor. It's one of my most favorite pastime of O.B.L. Kapoor. You know, Prabhupada was a businessman. He was a pharmaceutical businessman. And he was manufacturing medicines. And he was very good at it. And he was making newer and newer medicines. So he made a medicine for students who study. If you take this medicine, your memory will be very good. You will do very good in your studies. And when he made that medicine, O.B.L. Kapoor was his godbrother, one of the scholars, Dr. O.B.L. Kapoor, and they were good friends. Prabhupada was a grahastha doing his business, and O.B.L. Kapoor will have some, funny, humorous talks together and all that. But they were serious Vaishnava friends. And O.B.L. Kapoor was told by Prabhupada, I made this new medicine, why don't you try it out? Because he was writing some exams. He was still studying ahead. So he said, yeah, I need it. So he took it and he wrote the exam and he said it was very good. I think it worked well. He came back to Prabhupada and said it works. I remembered so many things. It's very good medicine. And then, on his tangential remark, he asked Prabhupada, why don't you give me the real medicine which you have? He said, what's that? The medicine you have by which you are such a wonderful Vaishnava, you give wonderful kirtan, a nice Bhagavatam class and everything, all that medicine you give me. Then Prabhupada laughed and said, oh, the formula is not yet ready. He said that. Then later, every time here and there he would meet in the years, OBL Kapoor would tell, did you make that medicine? Did you make that medicine? Once he said, the formula is ready, but very soon the medicine will be made. And then he asked him, what's that? He said, I will very soon make the medicine, carry it all over the world and make everybody chant Hare Krishna. I have that medicine. The formula is ready. Then OBL Kapoor said, what is that? Tell me. If you don't mind, can you tell me the formula? I promise I'll not make the medicine and sell it. In a funny, humorous way. And Prabhupada said, yes, I can tell you, you're my good friend. The formula is Trinadapi Sunichena, Taroriva Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. I am going to use this formula and preach the holy name all over the world. And OBL Kapoor, he became serious when he heard that from Prabhupada. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai ki. He became serious when he heard that from Prabhupada. This person, in between his humor, has got his focus. He knows what he is doing and what he is saying. And that is reflected in Prabhupada wrote Markine Bhagavad Dharma, and he offered his prayer to Krishna and said that use me as an instrument. I am just your puppet. You can make me dance. After all, who am I? Simply titled Bhakti Vedanta. It's up to you to prove that. I will work as an instrument, as a puppet. This is the mentality, right mentality of a devotee. It's difficult to get it. It's to be cultured, practiced. And Prabhupada did that. And here, Arjuna reflects that so wonderfully. He is realizing that everything is Krishna. Our whole existence, everything that we do, if at all we have any capability, everything is coming. Shabdake Paurusham Rishu, ability in man is coming from Krishna. So if we can imbibe that and be humble instruments of Guru and Krishna, and then execute Krishna consciousness humbly, that is our success. Om Tat Sat Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nittai Gaura Premanande. Any question or comment? Welcome. Any question or comment? Yeah.
How can we remember Krishna while doing things? Is it the experience we get while we are doing things which makes us remember Krishna? Is remembering the instruction of Guru or Bhagavad Gita is equivalent to Guru?
Just think of Arjuna, what he did on the battlefield. What would he have possibly done, having to fight such formidable warriors? How much could he have done? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Think of Krishna and shoot the arrow and getting shot everywhere, wounds, blood oozing out, and this screaming all sorts of expletives. All the Kshatriyas, they say, you dog, I'll get you to Yamaloka, I'll do this to you, I'll send. This is how they fight. It's not that they tra la la la, they whistle and they chant their Gayatri and all that and shoot. The right idea of devotional services. You perform the service. And in order to perform the service, you need your mind, intelligence, words, everything to be in focus. Because the fruit is not meant for you. It's the service that you're performing. You know that. Right? So that's the way Arjuna performed. In fact, it is mentioned in some places, Krishna was lower than him, And he was telling Krishna, move this way. He was telling him to direct the chariot this way, that way. Take me here, take me there. And it's mentioned sometimes he would do that by banging like this and using the bow to this. It was the Supreme Personality of God who just revealed to him that I am so and so. But on action, Krishna didn't say, did I not tell you that I am Supreme Lord? Don't do that to me. It was nothing like that. He was completely going with, Arjuna. Why? He's acting as my instrument. He should be angry. He should be waiting to get him. And during that time, it's not the time to say, did he chant your Gayatri? Are you doing Vaishnava etiquette properly? Those are not the things at that time. Similarly, that's an example. So when we do service, we are not expected to be artificial. A particular type of service like Arjuna requires involves getting a little passionate and doing it as you're supposed to do it. Similarly, when we do certain types of services, certain type of faculties have to come into force. And don't worry about doing it because it has to be done. I was asked to fight in the court because our whole society, in India was, all this case in Bangalore and all that. And I knew I was completely different thinking. And I was wondering, am I a devotee at all? Thinking, what will he say next? What will he do that? This guy is going to do that. It's completely different. But when you have to do that service, you have to think like that. And after all, the result is not yours. You can walk out of it afterward. I'm so happy my service has changed. I can preach. So, different services require different types of, faculties. And we have to employ them. As long as we know it's for Krishna. And the result is for Krishna. And we start in the beginning like that, and in the end also we know that. Right? That's perfect. So we may have to do many things. We need to do what needs to be done. If you read that Leela of Prabhupada, how he got that Bombay Wala to sign the document, he really tricked him. And people wondering, Swamiji? Yes, he's Swamiji, but if you try to cheat him, he'll also knows what to do. Then it'll, like Shanakya Pandit said, Shate Shatyam Achareta. If the opposite party is somebody who wants to cheat you, then you also be prepared in the service of Krishna. What to do? So what's required you must do and not be sentimental. If you have a Brahminical service, fine. You can chant Hare Krishna in the corner of your room and then speak Bhagavad Gita to others and eat a little prasadam and take rest. You're very fortunate. If not, if you especially take up leadership in ISKCON, boy, it is it may be sometimes worse than what Arjuna went through. Because all the arrows are so subtle, hit you. And there are all types of astras. And they come from very close by. Anyway, all the best. Any other question?
Whether those kind of services actually help us to connect with Krishna more, or the services in the mode of goodness will connect with Krishna?
They are all material boards. Bhakti doesn't depend on anything. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti produces bhakti. So it is completely independent of any of these things, and leave alone the gunas. It's not the least bit concerned with that. So you may be in mode of goodness, you may be in mode of passion, you may be in mode of tamas. The situation demands it. But your bhakti need not get affected by it. Your spirit of devotion need not get affected by it. Really speaking. Technically, I'm saying that's what it is. But since we are conditioned souls, we may get carried away. That's why sometimes we try to remain in Sattva Guna as much as possible. Certain types of services, I don't think I can do that. I can get swept off. I'm not going to do that. Like we ask a brahmachari, would you like to go and give a class in this women's college? Right? He may think, maybe this grahastha should go. No, you're a much better speaker and you're good looking and you should go there, you'll impress all of the girls. He may think, no Prabhu, not only will I impress them, I'll also get impressed by them. And I may disappear. I may never come back. Yat gatvana nivartante. Please don't send me, don't give bali of me. Human sacrifice don't make. He knows that I can't go there, I shouldn't do it. It's a great preaching opportunity. So sometimes we calculate and we say that I have not. Sometimes it's difficult, but I'm going to try to do it. At that edge, I may actually be able to surrender more to Krishna. Some devotees take that measure and take a risk and do it, and they get dividends, they get advancement. But don't overreach yourself more than you can do. You calculate. That's why we have Guru, who tells you, I know you, Bhakta Joe, I don't think you should try that. You should do this service. So we take it up like that. Right? Any other question or comment?
Even though we do endure for Krishna, we can, the expected result is not coming. So how to take it for future endeavors and
Expected result is not coming.
all endeavors?
Well, if you do anything for Krishna, it is never to be thought of as something that is not giving a output. Because you may not have in the material realm, you don't have a result immediately. But definitely you have a result for yourself. Because you have endeavored, right? And that effort will purify you. And first thing is, you get a result. Isn't that the primary foundational motivation for everybody to perform devotional service? I am doing devotional service so that I get purified. I get closer to Krishna. The second benefit is that person is benefiting. Society is benefiting. ISKCON movement is benefiting. All these are secondary and tertiary benefits. But the primary benefit definitely is my motivation, and I am doing it and I get purified. So at all these levels you have gains. Sometimes intangible gains, gains that you cannot see, and sometimes tangible gains. But it is never a loss. It is never a loss. So results, what type of results are you looking at? Maybe certain type of tangible results are not there immediately, but we keep trying. And maybe you want to shift gears and do another thing in another way. Maybe it will come out from another way. So sometimes we need to do that also. Shift gears, try to do something, and there'll be a result from another way. But even if there's no tangible result, you always have a result, because you've endeavored for Krishna. That's a satisfaction we have. Om Tat Sat Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nittai Gaur Premanande.